we're going to start it off in Pride fashion, and I want everyone to do a quick dance, and then we're gonna hit some quick announcements. So quick dance, everybody.
I love the dancing while in the chairs. It's pretty funny to watch.
Okay, very good. That is a playful enough start to the last Wednesday of our Pride Month. My name is Julie Nelson, and as you can tell from the letters above my head, I am in Austin, Texas. I'm actually sitting in Des Moines, Iowa right now at my sister's, which is part of the beauty of our technology and our campus that goes with us wherever we are. So I'm so glad y'all are here. This is our 5th session for Pride Month. So we've had a session every Wednesday in the month of June, and we were blessed with a really kind of a bonus 5th Wednesday, which is today. So I'm really excited to be here with you, and I'm going to turn it over to the panel here in just a minute, of which I'm actually part of the panel this time, which is fun. But a quick reminder that when we are done with this panel today, then the second annual Pride March starts at the beach at the, let's see, depending on your time zone. Okay, I'm Central, so it's 1 o'clock now. So the march starts at 2:30 at the beach. So do the math for your time zone. So we will go for probably about an hour and 15 minutes roughly with this panel today. Our goal is for you guys to walk away with some ahas that can immediately help your business. So we have the Pride Parade right after this. It meets at the beach. And then when we're done with the parade, which will last all of probably like 10 minutes, is, you know, a little mini parade around the world, which is hilarious in and of itself. Then we will teleport to the Pride Disco, which is through the Pride campus menu. And we have a live DJ, which I'm so excited. So I really want every one of you to attend our little live DJ party, and they'll be as soon as people are walking in that room, they're going to start the music, and we have about, I think it's about a 45-minute live DJ dance party to wrap up our Pride Month. So really glad you're all here. A big shout out to everyone who pulled together this month to make all of this happen. All of the Pride ambassadors, lots of folks doing some heavy lifting. Big shout out to Allie and Nicole for doing some serious heavy lifting. Really appreciate all of y'all. And it's really been fun and an honor to do this, to be part of a company that celebrates our diversity like this, all colors of the rainbow, and just a great, you know, company culture and spirit that we're part of. So happy Pride Month, my friends. All right, enough of the announcements. I am going to turn it over to our moderator, who's also part of the panel. So Sam is going to lead us in this this panel today. So Sam, go.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Sam Powell. I go by Ask for Sam, so you can find me as Ask for Sam on pretty much every social media portal that's out there. I joined EXP on April 1st, not kidding, April 1st. It was not a joke to everyone I was telling, but it was a nice way to ease them into the conversation. I'm honored to be up here. It's my first time on the virtual stage, and I'm excited to be with these amazing humans around us. So I'm going to go ahead and get us started. A little bit of housekeeping. Julie's going to keep us on track from a time perspective. If you have questions, feel free to put some stuff in the chat, and we together will play in this space together. And we're just going to see where this conversation kind of takes us. I thought I'd start with introductions, and kind of the way I want to do that with the crew is we're going to play in this space together, team, alphabetically. So I'm going to ask questions kind of rapid fire so we can kick out a ton of data and content. So it's going to go in alphabetical order: Eric, Josh, Julie, Sam. Okay. So the first question I have for each of you is, please introduce yourself. I want your name, where you practice your business for the purpose of referrals, and how many years have you been a realtor? So Eric, you're in the hot seat.
Hey there, I'm Eric Miller, and I live in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Uh, Thank you, Al. Um, I've been doing business about 21 years, and I think there are some people in town who would tell you that I built my business off of blogging and getting on the web pretty early. I own Wilton Manors Realty, I own Oakland Park Realty, Fort Lauderdale realestatenews.com. So I embraced this pretty early because I'm probably the oldest person on this stage.
Awesome. Thank you.
I might debate that last statement.
We'll talk later.
All right, Josh.
Hey, I'm Josh. I'm in Houston, Texas. I've been a realtor for about 14 years. Been with EXP for a big chunk of that. I was one of the first 500 agents to join, so been here for a little while. I don't remember what the last question was. That's
Where do you work out of for referrals?
I'm in Houston.
Houston. Awesome. All right, Julie.
Right on. Julie Nelson, Austin, Texas. I've been in the business 21 years. I've been with EXP for 4 of those now. Really excited. I am a published author in the industry, Success Faster on Fire Hot, which is exciting, helping on thousands of agents around the planet. And I'm really happy to be here to dive into technology conversation with really honestly some of my favorite people in the industry and the company. So here we go.
I'm super stoked to get to learn a little bit more about you guys because you've now met the Millers and the Nelson. So I have been in the business just starting my 20th year, actually this month. And I'm out of Chicago, Illinois, but also like Julie, I'm coming to you live from Merritt Island, Florida. I'm at my sister who just recently closed on a brand new house. Yay her, clap if you want. Okay, so let's get started. So Eric, just out of curiosity, when you started in the real estate industry, can you remember the first piece of tech that became sort of the most important in running your business? And I ask it this way, like if you could take us in the Wayback Machine, where did sort of your journey in technology start? And follow up with, as of today, do you have a absolute favorite app or technology that you couldn't live without in running your business?
Okay, there we go. Okay, so quick funny story. My first day in real estate, very first day in real estate, some lady comes running into the office and screams, "Pay anybody $100 who knows how to use a computer. I don't know how to find any listings." And I thought to myself, oh my God, we're going through a transition here. We're getting rid of real estate listing books and we're going onto computers. And really everybody in the room had no idea what they were doing. So I earned my $100 that day. And I actually felt that the very first thing I had to become an expert on and stay an expert on was every tool in the MLS, whether it be how to send out immediate listings, how to set up those perfect searches. It was really important that I knew how to use the MLS better than anybody. So that was my first tool and has always stayed that way.
That's awesome. It's hard having the mute on and the mute off in the respect that we don't get to hear any hecklers in the room. So if you want to giggle or laugh, you have to unmute yourself. But housekeeping wise, stay muted otherwise in case you have background noise. All right, off to you, Josh.
Sorry, I was also trying to unmute myself. When I started, the technology was, I mean, the internet was around, but, I guess my biggest tool, the first tool I really started getting into was text messaging. And in, 2007, it was, just starting to get really popular. So that was kind of how I started, with text messaging people. A lot of people are still using email campaigns and still are, but text messaging works so much better. But I guess the tool I can't live without now would be KV Core. And I know I'm not just saying that because I'm here at the EXP event. I teach KV Core classes every single week and a half for a couple of years now. And I just, I fully embrace it. I use KV Core to send out my Christmas e-card. I use it to send out text messages to people about my wedding. I mean, I use it for so much. There's so much you can do with it. So I would say that's my tool I can't live without now.
I will be seeking out that class. Thank you so much for that little nugget. Anyone wants to join me there, that's where you'll find me next. All right, Julie, what do you got?
Okay, well, man, this is a dating question if I've ever heard one. So I think maybe anyone in the audience who is age, what, maybe 42 or later might relate to this. But the early technology that was a game. Okay, remember, I've been in the business for 21 years. So the early technology that was a total game changer for me was when we finally had either electronic maps in our cars or on our phones. Okay, so raise your hand in the room if you remember the Maps Co books. God, I'm dating myself. Yeah, so yeah, so you had these books and you had to find the page in the book to find the house. And so technology wise, absolutely total industry game changer. And the app I cannot live without right now. And guys, this is so simple, but I bet there's some people in the room that are going to relate to this. I cannot live without the clock timer on my phone. So literally, because of just meetings and appointments, and even to be here today, I just set a timer. So my entire day it happens smoothly because I'm setting alarms and timers throughout the day. So the app I can't live without is my silly little timer on my iPhone. There you go.
It's quite genius, actually, and I'm not much different than you, Julie, in that respect. So when I started in 2002, generally speaking, a lot of us will start working with buyers, and I have to say my answer is the same. When MapQuest came out, when MapQuest was a .com you could go to, and you could pin in a bunch of different properties and figure out and navigate a great path to it, that was amazing. I joined real estate at a very appropriate time for somebody who had a love and passion for technology, because it was also 2002 when electronic signatures in real estate became legalized. And so I very quickly was on a campaign to how the hell do I get paperless as quickly as possible because of the technology we have available in our hands, and the computers that we're walking around with today. And my go-to app right now today is a small little application called Todoist. So it's like to-do list, but might drop the L. But I'm same thing every morning. I get up and look at my calendar and set all of the alarms, either the night before or the early morning of. Otherwise, I've caught myself missing out on too many things and activities that I wanted to attend. So that combination of my to-do list, the calendar, and the alarms, I think it's a trifecta that I couldn't live without. All right, someone work with me in checking the chat in the event. Julie, if I can ask you to play with me there. If we happen to get questions in the chat, that would be awesome.
That's cool. I am watching it. I am curious because Sam, you had mentioned that Todoist app to me previously, and I probably have it scribbled down in my notes somewhere. But I'm curious if anyone else in the room. So, hey guys, so in the audience, when we're talking about a particular app, jump in the chat, like if that's something that you're using too, or even type in your answer to the question, because this can be as interactive as possible. All right, back to you, Sam.
Yeah, if you're already vetting applications for us that we can share with each other in the room, let's do it, right? Let's take these takeaways together. And then somebody, I'll take some notes as well in case it's we can share it later with the video broadcast. So where do I want to take you now is a little bit about like production. We're not successful unless we're closing deals. So talk to us a little bit about, what are you using well, we obviously know what KV Core is being used a lot in the room. A show of hands, if you will. How many of you are actively using KV Core? How many of you have gone to formal trainings about it? Like, are we a lifelong learning kind of room and group? Okay, awesome. So rely on each other. Look who's in this room here together. If you have questions, ideas, obviously there's trainings we could go to, but let's become valuable resources to each other in our EXP family. So I'm kind of curious. Yeah.
Yeah. Josh, can you tell us tell us about the KV core class that you teach and when that is. You had mentioned it earlier, so let's get that information out there.
Yeah, it's a free class I do. Not selling anything or anything, so you guys are more than welcome to attend. It's Wednesdays at 1 p.m. Central is the basic class. I do an advanced class Thursdays at 1 p.m. Central. And you can find out about it on my website. It's joshmiller.org. I use that website for a lot, so you can just, for a lot of different things, just look at the top page of shortcuts. One of them is KV Core Training. So yeah, joshmiller.org.
No, that's awesome. And I know that some of you mentioned it in the conversation, but will you just remind us, and you could just shout it out, how many years have you been with EXP? Just to give us a sense of our history on this stage here.
I've been here almost 7 years, I think. 7 years, yeah.
I've been here 6 months.
Nice.
Cool. I'm 4 years here.
So that makes me the baby on the stage in that respect. And which is pretty awesome, you know, considering how much we use technology day to day. So now walk me through this. So we had this pandemic in this past year. Before the pandemic, you were using technologies in various ways. Was there something that changed in your business during the pandemic that now that it's been integrated into your day-to-day or week-to-week or month-to-month that you will continue using regardless of us opening up into more person-to-person? Does that question make sense, Eric?
Yes. Actually, I think the biggest change that happened because of the pandemic was really upgrading. It might have been a step back, but it was upgrading the way I use photography and listings. I actually have backed off the Matterport tours a little bit because I asked a lot of people how they felt about them, and some people felt they were deceiving, confusing, and went way heavier into video, YouTube posting of those videos, sharing those videos everywhere I could in blog posts. And I actually got much better reaction for future listing appointments off of having those videos out there. And I'm talking videos that were really, really well done with drone photography, editing of the drones flying right into the living room of the house. I mean, really working it. And that was the biggest change I did. This first time ever I've actually sold property without ever showing it.
Over to you, Josh.
Hey, you don't get sidetracked between the chat and talking. I'm not a good multitasker. So I guess the technology now is I did a lot during the pandemic. I did a lot of here in Houston. We could still do showings and stuff, but a lot of people didn't want to go to them. So I did a lot of like FaceTime showings where I'd go and I'd record them and stuff, and people still request that, and I still I kind of like doing it, you know, because I get to walk them through, and it's fun. So and it's really quick to kind of just pop in and do a video and leave. So I'm probably still going to do that, you know, as long as people still want to see it. So.
Awesome.
Cool. I think mine would, and I think it was the willingness to use Zoom for client meetings, because prior to the pandemic, it was like, yeah, maybe. During the pandemic, it was definitely, and now that we're in a different phase, I feel like that's something that I have hung on to. I do, of course, there's so much value in the in-person stuff, but the time saving is so enormous with being able to do more of it virtually. And so it's helpful that not just us as professionals embracing that more, but the public has embraced the time efficiency aspect of it as well. So that's definitely something that shifted my business and that I'm going to keep hanging on to.
That's awesome. Related to Zoom, one of the things that I thought was really fun during the pandemic was we would have dinners with buddies across the country, like Friday night, 6 o'clock. We'd be making a meal together on Zoom as if we were standing in the kitchen together, and then we'd sit down and eat our meal together. So that's something that we will absolutely still do. from a business perspective, I found it quite fascinating because I didn't do anything different in my business from before the pandemic, through to today. I was already a huge fan of Matterport, 3D virtual reality. The drone technology had already hit Chicago's market, so we were using it actively. And on rental listings, we had already been doing these sort of low end, just using your iPhone, slowly walk through the property as if you were that Zoom tour, that drone, but in a slow walking manner with no noise at all, no talking about the property, so that it was basically specifically unbranded and unrecognizable as to who was producing it. So during the pandemic, when no one was allowed to be in the properties for showings as listing agents, so I worked with buyers until 2002 to 2013, and then I stopped working with buyers and I only work with listings. So we have noticed an amazing differential in using Matterport, the virtual tours that we were already used to, interactive floor plans, and now this inclusion of drone. We have so fewer showings because we immerse them in the ability to view the property online, that when they raise their hand to come see the property, we find that they're the more serious of the buyers who have ruled us in through all that schematic and said, I want to still see that property. So that's made a world of a difference to me. And I have to share this only because I think it was, was it you, John, that said you don't use Matterport as much as you used to in the past?
That was Eric.
Eric. Okay, so Eric, so my one trick about Matterport that saved me time and time again in transactions is doing the Matterport, obviously, before we go live. And then come the final walkthrough, I've had no less than 5 specific experiences where they do their final walkthrough and they come with a punch list of things that they want to complain about and ask for a credit for. And we're able to look at the photos to try and show them, it was pre-existing, it was this way when you saw it for your showing. But in cases where it's like a threshold, some issue related to near the flooring, on Matterport, because you can tilt down and tilt up and do a screenshot, we're able to, right from the closing, be able to say, nope, deny this request, deny this request, deny this request, because here's documentation that that's the way you saw the property before you ever wrote on it. So I just gift you that nugget in case it comes, and I give shout outs to Matterport for it, because what a great use of that technology that we were never anticipate that's how we come to use it. So I will never not do a Matterport tour just because of that very clear integration and being able to see the whole space. Awesome, very good. One of the things that I get to travel around the country and speak quite a bit. And one of my favorite things to do is, if you want to learn something about someone, is open your phones together and look at together what 4 applications you have on the bottom of your phone, right? So if everyone pulls out their phone right now, it's such a clear tell on how different we are in humanity and how we use our technology different. So for example, from left to right on the bottom of my iPhone is my email, then my Todoist app, the Facebook Messenger, and traditional text messaging. So my phone is not down there readily available. The standard ones that are down there, this is how my brain works. So I'm curious for my panel up here, what are the 4 on the bottom of your screen? And is there a reason that that's the meaningful placement for you? Like, talk us through how you use your phone tech.
Okay, actually, the 4 along my bottom here are basically Google messaging, Facebook messaging, and my phone. And I never actually thought about it, but I'm putting more energy into messaging on Facebook, on Messenger, and my messaging app and texting than I am on my telephone, because there's twice as much presence there. I still tend to like to be on the phone because I'm in the car so much, but and I try not to text. But it's clear, I think most clients are making the choice these days that texting is the preferred method of communication.
I hear that. Josh?
I think mine is actually just the default, whatever the phone was. I'm serious. It's phone. I've just gotten used to it. It's phone, it's Safari, it's text messaging, and then it's email. The only difference is I use a different email app than the default one on my iPhone, but I'm pretty sure it's just what came on the iPhone when I got the first one in 2007. I've had it since. I think it's never changed. It's been that way forever.
That's hysterical.
Well,
One of my besties is the same way. She's like, I'm never changing it. And I also never change my wallpaper. I just want it out of the box, and that's the way I use it. Go ahead,
So
Julie.
I change
That's
my
funny.
wallpaper stuff, but I don't change my app placement because I'm so fast at knowing where everything is. So if I change it, then I'm like looking for it, and so I like it to just be where I know it is. You know.
Yeah, totally.
Well, and with the iPhone, so one thing that would be telling to do with a friend is this works on the iPhone, but I do that really quick swipe down all the time, and it will show you like the last 8 apps that you opened, or like your 8 most common. And then all you have to do is type one letter, right? And it'll show up, you know, all the apps that start with that. So it's a very quick, you know, just that swipe down tells me, you know, of course, that I've been on HuffPost and Zoom and the clock and photos, stock, Google, Facebook, and messages. So yeah, anyways, no, I love that. It's really interesting to see how different people use their apps, and to have the same conversation with friends in different industries. Hey, what's an app that's business related for you, or an app that really helps you function in your business week?
Yeah, I think it's like a fun icebreaker when you're in a networking event together and you have nothing to say to each other. No, I'm just kidding. It's just a nice way to sort of start conversation, and then where it goes from there, you know, becomes its own legs. Let's talk about wallpaper for just a hot second. It's a sidebar in the respect that it's one of my favorite things to share. You have 2 opportunities to create some kind of visual inspiration for yourself, your lock screen and then your wallpaper behind all your icons. So my advice, just a suggestion, is what I've done ever since I've had a phone, is I have no icons on page 1, except the 4 that I'm stuck with on the bottom, right? So that I can enjoy that image that I've chosen to be my wallpaper. And then my lock screen is a completely different image so that I can enjoy them in different ways. So currently mine are, you know, my dogs, different sets of like 8 images of my dogs. But in one corner on my lock screen is a QR code. So if Julie and I are in a room together and she's like, hey, can I get your contact info? I'm like, yeah, just open your camera on your phone, snag my QR code, and then you can add me as a contact right into your phone. So that's sort of my next phase of our question is, how many of you in the room, in the chat, let us know, but on stage, how many of us are using the paper, physical business cards, have a digital technology solution for sharing your contact? Like, what are you doing when you're networking? Walk me through that interaction and your favorite technology if you're using some in that respect. Over to you, Eric.
Sorry about that. I had to click on there. Okay, I'm going to be behind the times. I have a photograph of my business card, and I will actually ask somebody for their phone number, and I'll text it to them, because that way I find I get their phone number right away, know who they are, and I can add them to my contacts right after. But I just send them my business card.
So I have a digital business card thing where I can, you know, it looks like an app on my phone. I just click share and text it to them. I like doing that as opposed to them scanning my QR code, because then I get their phone number. It's not always guaranteed that they're going to call you just because they have their contact info. But if I say, hey, what's your phone number? I'll text you my contact information. Now I have their phone number. And so I like that better. I like to have a little bit more control over that. But I like the QR code thing. For those of you who don't know, you can actually get a QR code through KV Core that'll send them to your KV Core website. It's built into KV Core. So, yeah.
You know, I guess I'm a little old school, but I'm also, I like the approach that I'm more interested in getting their contact information than I am in me giving them mine, right? So, so it's as simple as, you know, when you physically open your phone and you're with someone and you want to connect, and all I do is I open my phone, I click a text, and I say, what's your cell phone? Right? And they will answer that question 100% of the time. I type it in and I say, hello, it's Julie Nelson. Boom. And so they're adding me in their phone right then. But the trick is, and I think this is such a core business fundamental for all of us. For me, the trick is I want to follow up the next day with a phone call to that person. So if I've been at any kind of networking event, when I get home, sometimes I literally just scribble a note on the kitchen counter on a little sticky note or a little back of an envelope. I don't care what it is, but it's anyone that I connected with at that event. And that becomes my to-do list for the next day. So there's a little technology in there, and there's just some good old-fashioned follow-up. But then if I'm really on top of things, I'll add them to KV Core with some notes and a reminder to follow up with them in a certain amount of time. So
it's genius. We're kind of twins in some respects, Julie. I love it. I legit at networking events would walk up to you and be like, "Hey, Julie, what's your cell phone number?" And then you give it to me, and then I would say, "Spell your first name." First of all, I suck at names, so I probably wouldn't even know her name. And I'd be like, "All right, what's your cell phone number?" And then spell your first and last name. That's a cheat in case you really don't know who they are, and they just told you 4 seconds ago, but your head's full. And so I text them their own name back to themselves so that I know who they are. So now I can click and add them as a contact. I also will take a selfie with them and send it in that chat so that we can put a name to a face. Then I'll add them to my contacts, do a screenshot of the contact, email that to myself as a to-do list item to follow up with them in some meaningful way. In the event that they said, I want to meet with you to talk about Canva, that's what I would put in the email to myself, because emails I send myself, I consider a priority, and I know that I'll read them and get to them. So I found that to be a pretty successful tool. For my business card, I use a company called Blue Dot Social. They've been around for years and years and years now. And it is using that NFC technology that our phones have. The newer ones, it tends to already be activated, but in older models, it doesn't necessarily, which is why I default to the QR code, because all of our phones can capture that with the camera technology nowadays. But Blue Dot Social, and there are many other solutions, allow me to add all of my social media portals right in there. So when I'm sharing that link, or you're grabbing it from my QR code and you're adding me into your phone, now when you search for, and also just a little trick in case you are interested, my name on Blue Dot Social is, Sam Powell, Realtor Chicago. So that's how I'm imported into your phone. So if you're just like, I'm looking for someone in Chicago, and you search for Chicago in your contacts, I'm going to surface regardless of you not having my address, if that makes sense. So I found those little tips and tricks to be incredibly useful and helpful. Anyway, anyone in the audience share what they've been up to? Blue Dot Social. I really do have an appreciation for people that are logging in the notes. Thanks for that, Julie. Where do we want to take this conversation next? Audience, do you have something specific you'd like to hear about what we're doing and using? I want to make sure that we create some space and an opportunity for that kind of discussion. Otherwise, I can go on to the next question that I've got, but I'd love to hear more about what you'd like to garnish from us being on the stage with you. And even
I do want to make sure. Okay, let's see.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, so Fee says organization tools, productivity. And I was gonna suggest like productivity, anything that we're using that really significantly impacts either lead generation, lead follow-up, or conversion. So very kind of direct. Think and Fee, if that's the productivity piece. And then organization tools. Most realtors could use a full-time assistant, so the organization tools are I think a big deal.
No, that's true. What is the most powerful production tool that you use, and how do you use it? Right, because I can imagine we might use the same application, but we'd use it fundamentally differently, perhaps in our day-to-day running of our business. Anyone want to take that question?
This is Derek. Sure. Now this is a little old school, but it works. One of my websites allows me to see when somebody is out there looking. So even though they're in my database, if they're out there looking, next time I look at my database, they will be at the very top of the database because they were out there looking. You can do the exact same thing on MLS. If it's set up properly in a concierge mode, most MLSs will allow you to see that somebody has opened a listing and looked at it. So my attitude is if they've looked at something, I'm going to get on the phone, I'm going to text them, I'm going to email, and I'm just going to ask them what they thought about that address. Just to me, that means they're hot, they're looking, they want some information right now, and I'm going to get in front of their face.
Yeah, once again, I'm going to Josh Miller's training.
So I wanted to say that I talk a lot about KV Core, and there are a lot of softwares out there. I wrote this down because I actually wanted to say this at this thing. Because every time I talk to an agent, they go, "Have you heard of this new thing? Have you heard of that new thing?" And I always say no, because there are literally 11,000 CRMs out there. There are over 100,000 real estate agent marketing tools. 100,000. So there's always something new you can buy. You know, there's an old saying. It was, if you want to get wealthy, sell real estate. If you want to get rich, sell to real estate agents, because they buy all kinds of crap. And so I had a lady it was 2 trainings ago. She told me that she had found this new software. It was amazing. It let you create custom landing pages. She had this other software she was paying for. She could send out mass emails. She had another one to help her create property websites. And she was shocked to find out that KV Core did all of them and better. And she didn't have to pay anything for it. So to me, it's just, we have these crazy tools. Like, Eric, you're just talking about your website shows you what people look at and stuff. And I love that. And I love that KV Core does that. And not only does it do that, it has AI that, let's say someone looks at the same house 5 times in one day. They obviously are pretty interested in it, right? They looked at it 5 times. KV Core will automatically message them about that house and ask them if they want to see that house. So, I told Sam in email that I actually have documented over $100,000 that KV Core has made me that I would not have made without it. And so it's kind of crazy if you know what you're doing with it, what you can accomplish.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
That's fabulous.
I wanted to tell you one story about it, because this is going on right now. So I have this client. I'll tell you, about 4 years ago, I got this email, and all the email said was yes. That's all it said. It was about 10 o'clock at night, just watching TV, doing nothing. And so I checked my email, and I get this email from this guy, Juan, who just says, all it says is yes. And so I scroll, I'm like, all right, I don't know who this is. I've never heard his name before, nothing. So I scrolled down to the bottom, and I looked, and it had sent him an email saying, hey, I'm going to go look at open houses this weekend. Would you like to go with me? Now, I didn't send him that. KV Core sent that. It was one of the automated kind of default system things that it sends. And so I immediately replied. I was like, great, house Saturday at 1 o'clock. I can send you a list of homes and things like that. And he said, that's great. Do you also sell homes too, or are you just a buyer's agent? And I was like, yeah, 2 deals, of course. So we agreed to meet at his house, and it was late, so I just kind of met him in the morning, and we meet at his house. And he tells me, hey, thanks for keeping up with me. I really just wasn't ready whenever you first messaged me. I had no idea how long this had been going on. So I said, yeah, no problem. And so I go home, and I look, and it had been messaging him for 18 months. He had never replied until that day. He had never sent back a text. He had never sent back an email. He had never requested a showing on any of those houses that I had sent him. I was sending him homes. I was sending him all kind of stuff. And so he'd never replied until that day when he was finally ready, I guess. And so we ended up selling his $250,000 condo and get him a $750,000 townhouse a block away. You could actually see it from his condo. And so, I couldn't help but think, that was $1 million. And would I have texted him and emailed and sent him messages for 18 months without KV Core? Would you have done that? If I'm being honest, I would have sent him 1 text, 1 email, 1 phone call, then I would follow it up a month later, then I would have forgotten he existed. And so KV Core did that. So now why I say this is happening recently is about a month and a half ago, I get a text and it says, hey, Josh, remember me? And I said, yeah, hey. And he said, hey, it's Juan. I don't know if you remembered me. You helped me buy my house. And I said, of course. And he said, I want to buy an investment home and I want to get some renters. So I help him buy a $700,000 investment home. Then I help him find renters. Now, this weekend, I'm going to help him find 2 $400,000 to $500,000 homes he can VRBO. Then he wants to sell the home that I helped him buy which at the time was 750,000, but now is worth about 1.2 million with all the upgrades he's put into the pool and everything he's done. And he wants to sell that $1.2 million home and buy like an $800,000 home. So I'm thinking, wow, this is another 3 million from this one person.
That's amazing.
And not only did I get him because of KV Core's follow-up, he actually came in from an open house squeeze page that I got from KV Core. I created a squeeze page about open houses. I posted it on my Facebook. He clicked it, he saw it, it followed up with him for 18 months. I didn't do a thing. And then at the end, now here we are. I've made on him already, I don't know, almost 40 grand in commission. And here we go with maybe another 60 just from this one person. And this has happened time and time again where people are like, thanks for keeping up with me. And I'm like, no problem. That's me on top of it. But that's not me. That's KV Core. I'm not like that. I'm forgetful, crazy forgetful. And so, that's why I'm such an advocate of it, because without KV Core, I mean, I wouldn't have made anywhere near the money I've made in these last few years.
Well, it sounds like it's growing to be a one-stop shop for many of the things that you were doing, specifically using different applications before, that now is built into one nice bundle. I think it's kind of genius. It really made me think about, how we've got Clubhouse, right? Well, this experience right here that we're having right now feels a lot like Clubhouse to me, right? I can't see you except in sort of this digital space. And what it makes me think about is just how far along EXP is in that respect, right? So tools and resources that are coming out and people are starting to use. You've already had an experience in that world in a meaningful and powerful way. So easier for us in some respects to then translate it to creating meaningful experiences in Clubhouse with Joe Public. Would you guys agree? And feel free to answer the previous question too.
Yeah, I agree with, I definitely agree with that. I want to jump in on, because I think Josh is, he's touching on an important thing. And when I think of productivity, I've got two categories there. One is kind of initial lead generation, and the other is lead follow-up. So I don't know about you, like lead follow-up has kind of been my Achilles heel just in my 21-year career, right? So like, raise your hand or type if lead follow-up is just kind of been that thing for you. But I got to tell you, I think most of the money is in lead follow-up. And so I like looking at from that angle. So for lead follow-up, I have to tell you that the simple notifications on KV Core is a game changer. And here's just a silly little tip with that. And notifications it's slightly hidden. It's in the upper left-hand corner. It's this little tiny drop down where you can do, or actually they may have changed that a little bit. But anyways, you're giving yourself a notification on when to follow up with a person. But here's my tip for y'all. Set almost all of your notifications for 8 a.m. on a Monday, okay? Now the exceptions would be like probably birthdays and like a house anniversary, right? A purchase anniversary. I think for those things you actually want the actual date. But for 9 out of 10 of my follow-ups, I will always set it for Monday at 8 a.m. because that way, if I can log into KV Core first thing every Monday morning and basically look at my to-do list, it gives me my follow-ups for the whole week because they're always sitting there because I've always scheduled them for like 8 a.m. on a Monday. So just a little tip that can help that. Okay, and Josh just set a link, so that's valuable. Now with the lead generation, so this is the productivity tool. Something that I'm leaning heavily on is actually using Facebook to lead to valuable conversations. So I want to, now I teach this in a lot of my classes, and I teach that your shortest job description in real estate. So I'm a big fan of not overcomplicating this business. And so I want to remind everyone in this room that this is your shortest job description. You are in the business of having conversations with people about real estate, period. You're
Nice.
in the business of having conversations with people about real estate. So there's a massive amount of stuff you can do on Facebook just to engage people. So think about this with Facebook, it's this flow. And I've learned a lot of this from Jeff Talbot. Some of you may have done, he's not a realtor, but he does a lot of training, primarily Facebook, and I'm just a big fan. So he teaches this thing that is primarily do an engaging post, comment on every comment, then take some of those comments to a private message to engage one-on-one a little further, and then type in your private message, what is your cell phone? Which they will answer 100% of the time, and literally call the number right then and say, hey, I wanted to ask you a question, or thank you for your comment. I thought that was fabulous. Can I ask you a question about it? So now you're actually having an engaging conversation with somebody on something that is somewhat real estate related. And then at the end of that conversation, you're going to say something like, you're going to ask a basic lead generation question. Hey, just real quick, while we're on the topic, are you guys thinking about doing anything with your real estate this year? Or who do you know who has mentioned real estate lately? So you can use Facebook. And so I see agents a lot say, I don't know who to talk to, or I don't have 40 people I can call this week. It's like, yeah, you do. And
Yeah,
Facebook is, and some folks are shifting away from Facebook. I'm pretty sure you can create a similar engagement on Instagram and other socials, but use it to say, how am I going to use this tool to generate some halfway decent real estate conversations? And if that's your approach, you can actually turn it into gold.
Yeah, I'm the baby
So
here on the stage from the EXP perspective, and I know very little about KV Core, but I have some listings. So of course I'm pushing out those listings through KV Core, and so organic leads are coming in through the same interface. And I'm fascinated that every morning I get an email that basically says, here are the people you should be reaching out to today. Here are the people you should have reached out to yesterday if you didn't, but basically here's your pipeline if you choose to engage with it in an active way. And so then I like to try and find those people on social media to learn a little bit about them, play detective, because I think that for sure is one of the roles that we kind of hats that we tend to wear. But I every day, and I'm curious, this is a leading question for our next conversation, is, I'm also terrible about staying in touch with my database because it didn't feel like I was doing it in any kind of meaningful way. So I didn't do it at all. So 20 years in. But a few years ago, I happened upon an image in my feed from one of my past clients, and it was just an amazing sort of fun, sarcastic photo. So I, downloaded it on my phone, found a postcard app, made a sarcastic comment, and had the third party mail it directly to his house. And it was his daughter and him in the car. So it goes from Facebook to him in the mail. It's, made out to him and his daughter. He takes a photo of her with the postcard on the refrigerator, posts it back on social media, and is like, hey, Sam, look what came in the mail today. This is so great and fantastic. And it was because of that moment and that experience that now every day I put on my calendar, and I don't get to it every day, but the goal is every day, do something meaningful to 3 to 5 people, right, in your database. So be it past clients, be it people you're working with right now, be it customers that you haven't turned into clients yet, is in a round robin kind of way, add those 5 people to your task for that day. Then look at their social media, what's going on in their world, in their life, because we miss stuff constantly. But if we're intentional about evaluating my relationship with them in a moment, I can see, like, there's a great photo of grandma. She had just passed away. And so I'll go and have a wind chime that says, in loving memory of grandma, and send it to their house and encourage them to hang it inside or outside. But anytime the wind blows and it chimes, just think of grandma. She's ever present. Little things like that, right? So a blanket for someone. I do a lot of t-shirts. But I'm just kind of curious, how do you stay in touch with your clients in what feels like powerful and meaningful ways to you? And for me, it comes from a place of using a lot of photographs and imagery and putting them on things that people will find touching when they arrive in the mail. What are you guys doing?
And this is Eric. So I'm going to take that question in half a second, but I want to make a comment about what Josh said, because he said that client was 16 to 18 months out. And very often I find one of the most valuable pieces of my database is to figure out who has not reacted to anything in that period from a year to 2 years, because a lot of these internet people and reach out are reaching out early, and the average is about 2 years out. So you asked what I'm sending out. So I have a habit every year as we go into hurricane season, which we are right now. I usually order about a dozen of these little solar cells on Amazon, and I'll send them to people who I really have a reason to reach out to and just say, hey, I was getting my own house ready for hurricane season. I thought you might enjoy one of these. And it costs about $20 to send it out, but I will guarantee you I get an amazing phone call back from just sending that thing out on Amazon.
Nice. I like that. I wrote that down, by the way. That was good. I like that. I'm in Texas, hurricane season, man. What I do is anytime I have a closing, I always set on my calendar for a year later to reach out to them. I do have a drip campaign that I call it the Hugs and Kisses campaign. Just kind of sends my old clients, little emails. But usually with every client I have, and a lot of you guys are probably going to relate to this, I usually have some kind of inside joke between me and a previous client.
Uh-huh.
And so usually I'll send them something that will make them laugh. So I just had this happen yesterday. I was inside Target and I saw this Alex Bregman, if you guys know baseball, bobblehead, and a client and I have this inside joke about Alex Bregman. And so I sent it to them, and I helped them sell their house maybe 8 months ago or something. But they just started laughing, and they're sending me pictures of when they last went to an Astros game. They saw Alex Bregman play, and so I just like to kind of remind myself every year to kind of reach out to them and send them something funny, something I would send a friend. Just something funny. Yeah, usually to do with whatever one of our inside jokes would be.
That's awesome.
Just a couple little things for me. And I typed this into the chat, and I actually haven't used it in a little bit. So this was a great reminder. But there's this great little app called Postagram, and I can grab a photo, a photo off on my phone and send somebody a postcard. And even if I don't have their mailing address, if you text somebody and say, hey, what's your mailing address? I have something for you. 100% of the time they're going to answer that question. So, and it's really inexpensive. I mean, it may end up costing like $2 to send this postcard. And I promise you, in most cases, they'll end up like putting it on their fridge. So it's sitting there for a long time. And I'm typically I'm not promoting my business. It's very personal and it's a nice connection. The other thing, and I mean, this is technology, but I'm finding that it really makes a difference, is I really like just sending a simple little video message, okay? So like if I wanted to send Sam, even like a birthday message to Sam, I'm not gonna do it on Facebook. I'm not gonna text her a message. Now I might call her, that would be quality, but rather what I wanna do is I'm actually gonna record probably a 30-second video telling her happy birthday and how much I appreciate her as a friend and a colleague, and maybe make a joke, and then I text that to her. But here's what's cool about it is that she'll watch it more than once, or you can sing happy birthday too. So it's very simple, but it's a technology that I think is a real connectivity opportunity. So to really stand out, birthdays, the thing with birthdays that's interesting is that like a Facebook post, I find for the most part they're ineffective because folks will get 326 birthday messages that day. So how is yours going to look any different? Oh, and I like sending them a day early if possible too, or even a day late, because then you will stand out instead of the day of. So there's a few connectivity tips from Julie.
Nice.
Yeah. There was a question from the audience, and it was a little bit about the wallpaper on their phones. Let me know if we answered that question for you, and if not, we can get into it in a little more detail, or talk to any one of us offline, and we can help you with it from a conceptual standpoint, where to build a QR code, how to put some image together, and how to activate it on your phone. These things are pretty amazing, but you don't know what you don't know. So I want to put it out there to everyone in the room that I'm happy to be a resource. It's sort of one of the things that I'm passionate about in the industry, is being available, and being willing to share anything and everything transparently with my peers, so that we can all grow together in this business in a meaningful way. It is 2:55 in Eastern Standard Time. Again, if there are questions from the audience, we'd love to hear them. It's a lot to keep track of, so I have no idea what's happening in the chat, except a couple times that I look down, because I'm trying to make sure that I'm present with you guys. To the panelists, what is one thing that, if from a technology standpoint, let's phrase it this way: if I knew then what I know now, what would you have implemented differently in your business from a technology standpoint? And in it meaning, like, you get the point of the question. Just as a sidebar, I'm in a lot of pain over here, so I'm not my true self today. So I want to apologize in advance for that. I'm a little bit flighty and on drugs for some terrible bug bites that I have. So bear with me in my lack of fluidity in my sentences. But did you get the gist of the question?
I did.
Okay, please take it away and give me a break. I love you.
No problem. Okay, so I promised some people I was going to answer a question while we were up here today, and that was a perfect lead in to answer it. So I know a lot of people, we all have a million friends on Facebook, and unfortunately 999,000 of them are probably realtors. So our conversation starts to change, like we're talking to other realtors all the time, and we forget that those are not our customers. And at the same token, I hope some of us in the room are doing some blogging online and writing. And a lot of people always ask me, how do you know what to post about? How do you know what to blog about? And I wish that very early on, and I do this today, when I take out a first-time home buyer or somebody who has a ton of questions, every question they ask becomes a subject of a blog answer that I will never answer again. I will send out the blog the next time. I will send them to a link on my Facebook page, a link anywhere. You will only ask me once, how do taxes work in South Florida? Because I'll explain it that day and then I'll go write it. And from then on, they're in my world of answers.
That is genius, my friend.
So every time you take out a new home buyer for the first time, that guy who's really green, and they ask questions, every one of those questions should become a post.
And then you become Julie Nelson and the book writes itself.
That's it. And I talked to Julie about publishing.
That's right. No, that's great.
Okay, I got lost in which question we were answering. Sorry.
Answer any question you want, sir.
Oh, okay. So Steve said, I have a question with what technology would you like to see EXP bring to us, e.g. agent production dashboard? That's a really good question. There are so many good technologies out there and so many bad ones. I'd like to see an agent app, kind of like Smarter Agent. Something like that. I know that there's Millions Map built into KV Core, but it's really bad. I know they're trying to work on a new one and everything, but for now it's really bad. And most brokerages have an app for agents, for their clients to look at homes they can see and all that jazz. So that's what I would like to see as an agent app.
Any other panelists want to answer that question? That's a great question.
Gosh, where's the industry going as far as lead generation, and are we staying on that cutting edge? And I don't know the answer to that question, but that's the direction I would go with what would I like to see EXP do. And it's just something that we have to stay on top of, because at the end of the day, that's what agents need, are good, solid leads and a pipeline. So
yeah, it feels like to me that conversation is being had at our corporate level for obvious reasons, right? With the referral agreement that no longer exists between Ramsey and EXP, as it were. So I think that the writing is on the wall, and it's brilliant. The timing couldn't be better in the respect that it will just trigger our leadership to build a better machine, because it'll be the newest machine with all the bells and whistles that you don't have to, band-aid a previous application in a way. So I'm excited to see what EXP does with that conversation because of the doors it opened and opportunity to make our company even better.
Yeah, I am confident that we have an amazing technology team at the highest level that is really doing their darndest to either stay cutting edge or be cutting edge, and there's a slight difference between the two. I think kind of, Sam, your original question was kind of along the lines of like, if you could turn back time,
Yeah.
Q share,
Hi, Cher.
right? Yeah, exactly. Like if I could do my career over again, or like what would be the biggest difference maker? Two things come to mind for me, and one is if I had used some technology to be my follow-up crutch a long time ago, I would have made a lot more money. And the other piece is I would have liked to have dominated YouTube early on, because today, so Google owns YouTube, or it's the other way around. No, I think Google owns YouTube, and it is like the greatest search engine out there. So if somebody types in, finding a realtor in Austin, or LGBT realtor in Austin or Chicago, if I have YouTube, or realtors that might be typing, how to choose a broker, or what I should know about EXP, I may have some YouTube material out there, and I want people landing on that and then getting to know me personally. So kind of follow up is just a huge theme of mine when it comes to technology, and kind of YouTube. I know some EXP folks who have an amazing, who have sponsored a lot of agents to the company, and their primary tool is YouTube, because they have an amazing YouTube presence, and people find them online, and it results in people following them and engaging with them. And so,
Can I jump in for a quick YouTube tip?
Yes.
Go for it.
So,
Yes, and Eric, by the way, is pretty darn YouTube awesome.
well, I'm embarrassed that I was ahead of the curve, and now I'm just sort of trying to coast onto the curve. But I think I have a YouTube video out there from a building I was the sales manager of, where I had 54,000 views, which was a big deal. But when you put a listing up and you do a YouTube video, we're always taught that the very first thing you want to put into the description of the video is the address of the property, because your goal at that point is to sell the property. Well, once the property sells, in most of our markets, it's probably 10 to 15 days, you got to remember to go back into that YouTube video, and I'll use Josh as an example, and change the description of the video to Houston Realtor Josh Miller presents. The first few words then become his name. That's what stays there forever. The address becomes meaningless after the property is sold. So you got to go back and change all your YouTube videos into a sales pitch for yourself.
Genius.
That is brilliant, Eric. Thank you.
And I checked the help you, and I'm not seeing the ability for us to do a share hair whisk. So I feel like maybe if that could be something that we put on. Look, I'm using the hand gestures while talking. Fascinated by all of this nonsense. What other, give us, bottom line it for us, a takeaway. It could be an app or two or three. What do you want the people in the audience to know that you think is an important piece of technology? Share with us how you use it in your business. But what is it that is, here today, that is a new bizwang that is important, and you found a way to incorporate it into your business? Or flip that, and I think YouTube could be an answer on the other side, which is, it's been around forever and I'm still using it in meaningful and powerful ways. So you can answer it either or both of those ways if you'd like. And now, do my hands stop gesturing? How does that work?
Oh, that's a good question. You are what's going on? What's your problem, huh? Uh, type in /dance, and then when you stop dancing, I think your hand will stop moving. I don't know.
I went with a
Or
wave
there you
instead, and
wave.
it worked. It worked. Yeah. Thank you.
There you go. That is funny. I was wondering if you just had a twitch going or something.
No, I went looking for Cher's hand gesture and had to fall back with the I'll just use my own hands.
All
Who
right,
wants
where
to
were
feel?
we?
Who wants to feel? Well, it's also 3:05. So again, if you have questions, toss them in
Oh,
the
yeah.
chat as we start wrapping this up. The last 10 minutes that we've got to share. Give us a really amazing takeaway. Give us something amazing that you're doing in your business that we should all be doing in our business, using technology powerfully.
I want to make. I'm going to jump in. So we're going to. I'm going out of order. I want to emphasize how important it is that the thing that you run with, the thing that you hang your hat on, is the thing that resonates the most with you, and not with necessarily like one of us on the stage or just because you read an article about it. And so you are going to get your best results in your business from the technology tool that, one, you like and you're comfortable with, and is going to lead to you having conversations with people about real estate. So I would encourage you to simplify your technology choices and embrace your strengths and your likes and run with that.
Is the name of your new book a working title something like how to have real estate related questions? Whatever your tagline is about what your role is in real estate should be the title of your next book. How to get into
That would
meaningful
work.
conversations about real estate.
Something like that, because I'm sure everyone would buy that book, right? We'll figure it out. But it's so, yeah, simplify, simplify, simplify. So the technology needs to lead you to having a meaningful conversation. You take your online offline, and you take your offline online.
Eric, will you explain to the audience what a squeeze page is?
I'm going to let Josh do that one because he uses the squeeze page more than I did.
That's what I meant.
Yeah.
I just put a link to a YouTube video.
Awesome. Of course you did.
But if you log into KV Core, there's actually a place called the Learning Portal at the bottom left of your screen. It'll teach you everything you ever wanted to know about KV Core. I mean, there are all these. It's the support and training. If you click that and you click Learning Portal, you'll learn about squeeze pages and landing pages and drip campaigns and more than you'll ever want to know. So, and you can pick and choose what you want to learn too. So, I would just.
That may sound
Well, and here's
overwhelming to some, so go to his class.
Well, and here's a tip too. You could, let's say that one of your takeaways from this session today is that you want to lean into KV Core, that you're realizing that it's a tool that you could use to create more income in your world. So one thing that I would recommend is, so here we are, June 30th. What if for 7 days in a row, you committed to 1 hour of training videos on KV Core for just 7 days in a row, and then see where you're at the end of those 7 days. But do a power push for like 7 days and really kind of crank out some training, get your blinders on, ramp up your knowledge base a little bit. And probably by the end of those 7 days, you'll have a little more of a plan in terms of what you can do immediately to use that tool to your advantage.
Well, it sounds like KV Core obviously is a valuable tool and resource that maybe just plant the seed here that it makes sense to periodically in EXP World to have a panel who just specifically talk about how they're using KV Core specifically and successfully, so that we can get the takeaways faster, to implement faster by seeing it through the experience of others. And I love that we use it. Yeah. Go ahead, yes.
About KV Core. If you just took away one thing from KV Core, it is a lot of people think they don't have time to set it up. There's not a whole lot to set up. You just need to start using it. You can't afford not to use it. I mean, literally, if you go to any brokerage, you'll start talking about how you need to follow up with people and have so many touches and your sphere of influence and all of that. And that is what KV Core does the best at. It's following up with people, reaching out to your sphere of influence, scheduling touches for you. If you think that you don't have time, it's because you're probably not having your whole business automated like I am. I have plenty of time. I'm standing up here. So, and I'm still doing business and recruiting, and I'm using KV Core to do it all. And so, once you get into KV Core and it starts automating this for you, I gave you that example of that guy for 18 months. I didn't even know his name. KV Core is working for 18 months. I have 4,000 people in my database. There are plenty of people I don't know their names. They came in on KV Core. It's been working them. I'm not wasting my time on these leads until they're real, until they reply. So, I'm telling you, if you have a takeaway, it's that you need to do it and quit putting it off and just do it now.
And
Just start using it.
the only script you got to get really good at after what Josh said, because I do have it happen, where the guys call me up and they go, "Hey Eric, this is Bob. Thanks for that email." And then you got to get really good at faking your way, like through knowing who it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's where the app comes in, the KV Core app, because it will show you who it is when they reply. So you can go back and be like, oh, okay, yeah, this is Joe, and I've been sending him homes. And it'll show you everything you've ever sent them, and they've sent you,
Yep.
so you can go look. But, I've had that happen. I've been there, Eric.
I want to
nice,
give one
nice
last
problem
piece,
to have.
because I'm standing between these two great sentences in the last minute and a half, about keeping it simple and stuff. And Josh made a comment about everybody trying to sell you everything. You don't really have to buy a lot of stuff to be a good realtor. You need to develop a level of consistency. And Julie said it has to sound like you. It has to come from your heart. And you have to generate your identity. And the best way to do that is be consistent on any of these things. If you're not going to use it all the time, then just don't bother. So narrow down to the things you're going to use all the time.
I'd like to hear from the audience. You can either turn your mic on or you can type in the box, but I'd like to hear from the audience, like either an aha from today or just a real takeaway or something that you're definitely going to spend some time on over the next week to look at incorporating or leaning into in your business. So what's your takeaway from this? And mics are fine. We have a
I like the idea of putting an hour a day to pick up on KV Core, because that's the type of thing I'm not consistent with. I'll do it for 3 days and I'll take a week off.
I think that the KV Core is great to work with. I actually just got a whole bunch of stuff from a title agent and then had KV Core put it in through the Excel sheet, and I just didn't know exactly how to approach that. But I do want to use the KV Core, like, be able to utilize that, because there's so many things with that, especially with the agent success plan. It's there really hold your hand and walk through.
one thing. Can y'all hear me? My mic is a funny color.
We
Y'all
can hear
me?
you. Yep.
Okay, cool. One thing you could do with KV Core is just simply get your friends using your website to look at homes. Get all your friends and family members and past customers, clients, using your KV Core website to look at homes, because that will get them engaged, and KV Core will tell you when they're clicking around a lot on your website. KV Core will tell you when they've visited your website 3 times this week.
Okay, thank you.
Pleasure.
We had 1 or 2 minute warning. Who else wants to share something, a takeaway that they're going to do?
Sam, I just want to say that I'm really impressed with the questions. The quality of the questions you asked today was really terrific.
Thank you. That makes me feel better, considering I feel off today. So I'm critiquing myself on the other end. So I really appreciate hearing that.
Isn't it interesting how we critique ourselves? We critique ourselves harder than we critique others. So be kind to yourself, my friend. Sam, you're doing a great job.
Yeah,
Any
in some
questions that you
it's
wish? Go ahead. I was just going to say, any questions you wish we had asked? We have a few minutes. I do want to remind you that the Pride Parade starts in 15 minutes at the beach. We can hang here in this room for a little bit, ask some questions if you want to talk to somebody one-on-one, or you can meet us at the beach. Yeah, what have we not asked that you wish we would have asked? Exactly. Well, and that's a great, that you're asking that question with your client appointments, right? What have we not covered that you were hoping we were covered? What
yeah,
questions do you have? Blah, blah, blah. So
it's kind of a great final question, no matter what the conversation is with people, even your own, your own family members.
Could I
scanning
go
the
back?
chat for other stuff. Go ahead.
Yes, I had a call come in just as it was being said to go back to YouTube after property closes, and I missed what you do.
Okay, so that was my comment, so I'll fill you in.
Thank
You know,
you.
when you load a video into YouTube, there are certain fields you could fill out for the description of the property. And in the goal of beating Mr. Z, most of us have used the process of putting the property address in there as the first few words of the description. So then hopefully you will pop up ahead of all the other companies that are getting it off the IDX feed. After that property closes, you need to go back in there and get rid of the address and change it to something that you want to be known for. So it could be Julie Nelson, Austin, Texas Realtor presents, or Julie Nelson, Top Austin Realtors prior listing. So you change that first sentence to be an advertisement for you of something that people looking for a home or looking to sell a home in your area would probably type in.
Great, thank you so much.
No problem.
I want to give one more tech tip, and that is that we have this tool at EXP called Workplace, and it is underutilized, and it is such an amazing somebody's alarm is going off. Hopefully that's not mine. Workplace is an amazing resource. So if you have like a question on a contract in your like a form for your state, you go to your state group and type that in. Or you may have a question on an elementary school in your city. Well, you go to your city group and ask who knows elementary schools. You can go to Workplace and find a group that specializes in short sales. You can go to Workplace and find a group that simply specializes in scripts, what to say, or I mean, I could name 1,000 topics. So it is this massive, massive tool, and that I think is frankly underutilized in the company. I want to encourage all of you to participate with Workplace at a higher level, and you can build relationships and generate more and more referrals, realtor referrals in your business by engaging, and letting people know who you are and engaging in those conversations. I get 25 to 30% of my business are realtor referrals from around the country. And you better believe I'm strategic with how I engage with realtors online, because that supports a really important part of my business. So I want to encourage all of y'all to step up to lean into Workplace if you have not been engaging with it much. Yeah, so yeah, Josh says, me too. I've done 3 referrals already this year through Workplace. So.
And it's just from, by the way, it's just from using it. I'm not sitting around following everybody and begging for it and refreshing the referral group over and over. But I'll tell you, I worked here before we had Workplace, and you didn't know anybody. You know, you go into the world and see people walking around, but you didn't really know anybody. And when I worked at another brokerage, I only knew a couple people in my office. Now that we have Workplace, I know hundreds of people. I follow them, they follow me. I'm commenting on their stuff, and then we see each other at events, and we're like, "Oh, hey," And so it really changed the way it made EXP. Even though EXP was growing so big, it made it so small because we could communicate so much easier and all the way across the country. What brokerage has that where you can get referrals from across the country or from another country because we have our own kind of social media network? I've never seen that anywhere, and every brokerage has something like that, and EXP is the only one I see that has that. So use it. It's a huge tool.
And don't be that secret agent. Like on a weekly or bi-weekly basis, I try to make sure that on my social media, I'm reminding all my family and friends and customers and past clients that I have access to amazing peers across the country. And so I can be their one-stop shop no matter what, because I can do a gentle handoff to someone who can really take care of them. Like our past clients, they don't necessarily know that that's a revenue stream for us. They don't understand it until they understand it. And sometimes it's after they bought with someone else, right? So don't be afraid to put out there what you're looking for. Ask the universe for it, right? Asking for your referrals. Let me help you.
Good stuff. All right.
Yeah, Julie, I would love your verbiage on that, what you just said.
That's what Sam just said, because it was great. I love that, because I mean, we use the term referral all the time in our business, but think about when you're talking to some friends who might be moving to Chicago or Raleigh or something. It's what Sam just said. Sam, what's your script on that? Because I love that you use the gentle handoff. How do you frame that conversation, my friend?
Well, yeah, so I create various graphics to put on social media so that they look different and unique each time. But adding a layer to it that will just make it faster, meaning, let's say Julie and I did a transaction together, meaning I gave her a referral. The first thing I'm going to do is thank her for taking care of my client, even though they haven't bought anything yet. I'm going to be like, hey, thanks, Julie, for taking care of my client so-and-so in Austin, Texas. Looking forward to, coming to visit to see what they bought and celebrating with you, right? And then after she closes a contract with them, I'll do a gratitude post that's just, and it could be inclusive of me, Julie, and the client, and be like, what an amazing experience. Thank you so much. Anyone else looking for the same kind of experience? We got quality people around the entire country that we can put you in touch with. Reach out to me and I'll help you, use your own words, but you get the idea. It's making sure the universe knows that you are a valuable resource, and it's not just related to real estate, that's related to anything, so that you could be the one helping them find the solution, whatever that is.
I just want to add to that, because you mentioned, more than just real estate. I have had people who said, hey, I need credit repair. I need something. Do you know if you just go into Workplace and you click search and you type in something like credit repair, you'll see all these posts from random people say, I do credit repair, or I use this company and I love them, or my clients love them. Or maybe it's you need a handyman or something. There are local groups where people are saying, I use this service, I use that. It just becomes a great tool for any question anyone has for you. You can just search it on Workplace and find it. And it's just great.
Yeah. As I'm traveling and speaking quite a bit more now that the country's opening up again, having changed companies, I have to find valuable human beings in my local area who can be my feet on the ground, as I don't have a large team. It's just me and one other agent, who hasn't joined us yet. You'll see him next month, which starts tomorrow. Kind of. How interesting. I've completely lost what I was going to say. Someone take over the mic.
May I ask what app
Yes, please.
most recommend their clients use?
Ask that again.
Yes.
Is there a particular app that that agents send to their clients to communicate with during the transaction process of searching for homes? And
yeah. Josh hit the nail on the head earlier. That's an app that we'd love to see be built as a solution, so that we could have that. Right now, there isn't one that I can think of that would do what we're asking it to do.
Some MLSs have it. I just want to say that I don't know what market you're in, but I'm in Houston, and we have an amazing app here in Houston. If you are what's called a platinum agent, and I know other states and cities do, and other MLSs do. So you might want to check the MLS, see if they have one. But there's I would recommend, if you don't have one, you really want one, I would recommend Smarter Agent. I've used it before. It was a good app, and it was a great way for them to find homes.
I would just make one comment. I think it's really, really hard to ever convince anybody not to use Zillow or Realtor.com as their main app, even though we'd love them to be on ours. So I think it's worth saying to them, by the way, if you're going to use Zillow, please understand the person on that page is in no way, shape, or form involved in that property. It's someone who's paying Zillow. So I'd be happy to get you all the information on any property you see. Just write down the address or the MLS number and call me.
Do you
So I
have
think
that
it's
as a
important
YouTube
that we
video?
address it.
Yeah.
That's an ongoing message we need to give to our clients. All right, hey guys, I'm gonna call stops on this. It's 25 after. The Pride Parade starts in 5 minutes. You can teleport to the beach. Woohoo! I want to thank this amazing panel, and I want to thank all of you for being here today. It sounds like y'all really had some good takeaways. I love that this was really just really an engaging conversation, and we would love to do it again. This was really fun. So glad y'all are here. You can find all of us on Workplace. If you want to reach out, if you have a question, use that chat feature on Workplace, my friends. We're all there, and I promise you we're paying attention, and we'll answer your questions. So let's head on over to the beach and do this second annual Pride Parade and show EXP really what we got going on here. How's that sound, my friends? Woohoo!
Sounds
Okay,
amazing.
I will. Great. I'll see y'all at the beach.